Hello, we are live and we're on time. And I'm here with Stacia Crawford. Stacia Crawford, thank you so much for being with me today to talk about what you're going to be doing at the Breakthrough with Media Summit.
Thank you. I'm honored and very excited to be participating.
I must say, I'm September Smith, and I'm the host of the upcoming Breakthrough with Media Summit, which is happening in less than 2 weeks. June 14th to the 16th is going to be a live 3-day virtual event for entrepreneurs, authors, and coaches, change makers. We're gathering 20 industry experts to bring all of their decades of expert knowledge and strategy under one virtual roof to help you start leveling up your business, your positioning, hopefully your life, with publicity, PR, paid public speaking, and media exposure, like appearances on television, that's what we're going to talk about today, on podcasts, radio, magazines, everything that you need to be playing a much bigger game. And this is our second pre-summit live stream. And Stacia here is talking with me today about the question that is probably on a lot of people's minds, like free media. Really? I can get free media for my business? I can get on television? How is that even possible? So it's your business. It must be possible.
Yes. And, a lot of times people will get that. They'll see people or they'll see spokespeople or businesses on TV and they think, oh, that was free. Most people think that when you see television interviews, those people have been paid for that, and they have not. It's absolutely free. It's earned media, and that's why it's called earned media, because you have to actually be doing something. You have to be a leader in your field, be an expert in your field, and then the media welcomes you into their platform, onto their platform, so that you get exposure for your business.
So the whole thing of earned media, that is something, as you say, you didn't pay for it. You didn't produce it either. That's the beautiful thing. Unlike, all the grind on social media, somebody else is producing it. But let's back up a little bit. I would love to share what it is that you're bringing to this, because you're not just somebody who says, like, yes, you can be on TV. You've got 30 years experience on national network TV as a producer.
Yeah, I've been a television producer for over 30 years. And, actually, when I started my business, I started this business back in 2013. So it's been almost 10 years since I started it. And I actually started it when I was a producer for ABC. And at that time, the station was going through some transition, as they often do. And we were getting new leadership, new management. And I actually, what I now describe as an opportunity, I got an opportunity to leave my job. So a new general manager came in and literally canceled my show. And so I was no longer producing a show. But what I knew was that as a producer, I was spending so much time, hours and hours, preparing people for media interviews. So people think, oh, you get booked on TV and that's the end of it. That is just the beginning. And so since I was spending so much time preparing people, literally doing media training, talking to them about key messages, what they should say, shouldn't say, how they dress, how to stand, how to talk, all of that. So that was literally the foundation of my business. And so I really incorporated that into not only getting those media appearances, securing those spots, but also teaching people about what to say so that they make the most of every media opportunity that they get.
So was there a moment of inspiration? Because so many of us, especially when you're employed, you're in your job, you do what you do. You knew what you had to do on the daily. You had to vet these stories coming in. You had to figure out, okay, how am I going to place them? Who's in, who's out? We rarely flip it to look at well, what would it be to be that other person, and how could I actually help them? Was there a moment when the light kind of came on and you went, I want to help them. They need help.
Yeah. And a lot of times that is what would happen, because people would come onto my show and then they would leave and they would say, oh, darn, I didn't get to say this, or I meant to say that. And, when you get that opportunity, whether it's 2 minutes or 5 minutes, 6 minutes, whatever it is, it goes by really fast. And a lot of people always say, oh, well, I thought they were going to ask me this and I was going to say that. You don't get to choreograph the interview. And so you really have to have your key messaging buttoned up. And that's when I knew, I'm like, as the producer, I'm doing all of this. I'm booking them, I'm training them, and mind you, I have an entire show. So I have a whole hour show that I'm responsible for, not just your 5 minutes.
So you were actually having to train them?
Yes,
Oh,
absolutely. And so I said, wouldn't it be great if there was someone else who could do that part of it? It's like, this could actually be a business. This could be an actual business and fill that gap.
and there's a
And so
need
that's
for
how,
it.
absolutely. And that's
And
how Stay Ready Media was born.
and if I may say that, I totally recognize that, because that is how the Breakthrough with Media Summit was born. Because I was thinking, why is there not a place where everybody can see people like Stacia, like all the other experts talking about pitching and speaking and all this press releases? Why isn't there a place? And finally it was like, I'm going to make that place because
Exactly.
it
There you
needs
go.
to happen.
That's right. You find a solution to the problem.
So was it a big transition going from being an unemployed network producer to
Well,
being an entrepreneur?
it was. Well, for the one thing is, when I got laid off and I started the business, I actually did go back into television, right? I went back after about 3 years. I had another business as well, a cultural center. So I was doing that. I had to keep a lot of balls in the air.
Sorry, you were a
But
cultural what?
a cultural center. Yes, I actually, yeah, I run a cultural center. And so when I say I wear many hats, I wear many hats.
Do you
And
still
so
run that?
I do. Yeah, it's still open to
Did
this
not know
day.
that.
Yeah, it's been almost 15 years that we've been running a cultural center.
Wow.
Yeah,
I'll ask you
yeah.
about that later.
Oh yeah, there's a whole story behind that.
It should be on TV.
Yeah,
So should you.
yeah,
So should we all. And if you want
yeah.
to, come see Stacia.
That's just one of my many stories, and everybody has a story. Whether you believe it or not, you have a story, and probably a story that is ripe and ready for television. And so I help people to dig that story out, to find out what's really going to connect with the audience, what's going to really make a producer stand up and take notice of your story, and then teaching people how to really deliver it in a way that people connect with it, and then you drive people to action. That's how you use media to reach your goals.
And that you don't walk off screen after you've had that opportunity going, oh, I forgot to say, or oh, I wish I'd had a chance to say. Yeah, have more control, be ready for the moment.
That's right. That's right. And there's a lot more that goes in. People think, yeah, you just go on TV, you say what you got to say, and that's it. But there's work that goes into it beforehand, because you want to make sure that your business is ready for that kind of exposure. I've seen people who've gone on TV, they've gotten incredible exposure, but they weren't prepared for the influx of business that they were going to get. And believe me,
Oh, wow.
bad publicity from something like that happens is worse than no publicity at all. People, when you have a bad experience with a business, people are way more likely to go talk about that than they are the good experience. And so, sometimes if you're not properly prepared for your media exposure, it will do you more harm than good.
So is that something that you're able to say when people come to you? Well, first of all, when they get past that perhaps mental block of like, really? My business on TV? Would any TV channel or producer want my business on their TV program? Once they get past that, it's like, okay, I think I want to. Are you able to look at that and analyze, okay, you're almost ready, or no, you're definitely not ready, this is what has to happen? Can you give them kind of that
Absolutely.
background insight?
100%. Yes, absolutely. Yeah, because your business has to be ready for that kind of exposure, because, otherwise you turn a positive into a negative very quickly.
Yeah, one great TV appearance versus 50 people saying that your business sucks.
Right, exactly, right? And then, when you even when you've done a phenomenal job, on media, you've connected with that audience, that's still not the end of it. Now you have to leverage it. People will come and say, well, I've done TV before, and, I didn't have my products flying off the shelves, and I didn't have customers breaking down my door. And my first question is always, well, what did you do? What do you mean? Well, what did you do with your media exposure?
Yes.
And they said, well, I didn't do anything with it. Well, that's what you got. You did nothing, so you got nothing.
I hear the very same thing about podcast guesting. Yeah, it's like, I was on a podcast once and it changed my business, not at all. And
Exactly.
what did you do then? What do you mean? Yes. Yeah. So there's
It's not
strategy behind the leveraging.
right, exactly. There is a strategy that goes into it. So, it's not just a matter of hit or miss, I'm going to be on TV and it's going to change my life. There has to be a
Yes.
complete strategy, all the way from
Yeah.
beginning to end.
That whole thing of leveraging, that's actually one of the panel discussions on the VIP day 4, because
Yeah.
it is so important. It's kind of hard to get into the first 3 days when we're talking about the opportunities, including podcast guesting and television and publicity, speaking, all those things of the skill sets and the services and the tools.
Yeah.
On that day 4, we're definitely getting in there. Now, I've got you slotted in to talk about what is success, like how do we measure success? But maybe I should shift you over to the other panel discussion about leveraging, because yeah, it is. It's a vital part of the whole
It
component.
really is. Yeah. Yeah. It truly, truly is. And so, we get all up in your business because, literally all up in your business because that's how we're going to make the most of this opportunities. And not only that, but a lot of people don't know how to recognize opportunities. Sometimes you have opportunities that are right in front of you, but you just don't recognize it as such. So we
But
work.
you'd see that, right? From your point of view, of that perspective of the producer, you'd see like,
Oh yeah.
this.
All the time. I mean, sometimes I could have a conversation with somebody in line at the grocery store, and it literally has happened. And, we're having a conversation. I'm like, wow, that'd be a great TV story. Have you ever considered TV? And they're like, what? TV? Who wants to hear that? And I'm like, are you kidding? I'm like, I'm a TV producer. This is a great story.
And have you
So
ever
it's
then taken
recognized.
that and got them on
Oh yeah,
TV?
absolutely. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. Yeah,
Wow.
I've actually gotten clients that way because a lot of times we just don't recognize the power of our own story. We think that, doesn't everybody do this or doesn't everybody, I'm not special. My story's not anything significant. It's just little old me. But it really takes a really crafted professional to recognize it and be able to, take that diamond and shine it up.
And then figure out also where you're going to place it. Like,
Oh
what's
yeah.
the best venue? What's the best environment for that diamond to really be set?
Yeah, absolutely. And so someone who's actually been in the trenches of television and been a part of that process in determining literally the person who has the power, that gatekeeper who has the power to say, yes, this is going on TV, or no, maybe next time or maybe never. You have to give them what they want. And so you have to literally think like a producer.
And you were that gatekeeper. I mean,
Absolutely.
you're such a nice person. I can't imagine that you're like a real mean gatekeeper. But what kind of things does that producer, that gatekeeper, what kind of things are they looking for? And what kind of things do they immediately see and go, no.
Yeah. Well, the first thing where you would get a big no is when people will pitch a producer and the first thing in the pitch is, "Hey, I want to be on your platform to promote my business, promote my book, sell my product." And it's like that is a huge red flag. It is a big no because that's not the media's job. It's not their job to promote your product. That is the sales department. Let me transfer you to the sales department and then you can pay them and you can buy an ad. That's what you're looking for. But really, we're looking for a story. What is the story behind your product? The story behind your book? What is the value that you're offering to the audience? If any audience is going to sit and listen to an interview with you, whether it's 2 minutes, 6 minutes, what are they going to walk away with that's going to make them better? That's going to help improve their lives. That's going to, really put something positive back out into the world.
Yeah. So you are definitely helping your clients with that. But anybody who's considering really television or any kind of earned media, yes, you have to put yourself in the other person's shoes and like, what might they want to hear? What would help them, both the producer or the event organizer or the audience? What do they want? No, what do
Absolutely.
I want to
That's
say?
it.
And then you've got to figure out that way of parsing it so they get what they want, but you also get what you want.
Yeah,
It's quite a
exactly.
strategy.
It is. Again, and it's a symbiotic relationship. I mean, the media need you as much as you need them. So you have to figure out how do you strike that right balance so that it's a win-win for everybody.
That you've actually been a guest on my podcast in the past, which is where we really got to know each other.
Yeah.
And one of the things that I think was very striking for me, and probably will be for most people not in the television industry, is that the television industry needs you. as much
Absolutely.
as you need them.
Oh,
That's
yeah.
like, what?
Sure. I mean, when you look at it, the industry is changing. It is definitely an ever-changing landscape, but there are more media opportunities than ever before because stations are buying up more stations. They're starting new stations. They're adding new shows. So even when you think in terms of something like your local media, you turn on the TV and now, whereas there used to be 30 minutes of news in the morning, now there's stations that are doing 3-4 hours in the morning. Those are all opportunities that are ripe for you.
So did they call it soft news? Or is there another name for that? Like when
Yeah,
they,
so it's more of again, it depends on your area of expertise,
Mhm.
because sometimes it could be, maybe it's an expert who's speaking about mental health. Maybe it's, somebody who's talking about a health challenge or cancer. In instances like that, it could be a little harder topic, but it could be, fun stuff sometimes. It could be a restaurant. It could be, a book that offers some daily motivation. It could be a clothing brand. There's so many. I mean, it literally runs the gamut.
You just have to figure out how to coach it in terms that are attractive to that producer
That's right.
and their audience.
Exactly.
So, so at the summit, you're going to be getting more into the weeds about, the whole process of how a person has to look at this and
Yes.
how you work with people. But even if somebody's inspired and for whatever reason they don't necessarily want to work with you, I don't know why they wouldn't, what they have to be going through, all the steps. I wouldn't DIY this one, but so we're getting into that in the summit. Just as a bit of a teaser, can you give us an example of somebody that you've worked with that they've gone from, okay, I've never done TV before, they come to you, and once you were done with them, they were somewhere very different? Can you give us an
Yeah. Oh,
example?
absolutely. Well, one of the first ones that I think about was a young man that I worked with who was a chef. He was a personal chef and he was a fitness trainer. And so what we did was we started getting him on local media. And again, it wasn't for him to go on TV and say, hey, book me, hire me because I'm a chef. But we came up with creative, snack ideas and meal ideas. And so he was actually invited onto a local television station. He did such a phenomenal job, they kept inviting him back. So, that there's a strategy to that as well, to be, invited back again and again. But he was getting such incredible media exposure that he actually ended up partnering with Marvel, the comic company, yes, Marvel, and they
Wow.
developed a series of comic books.
Around
Yeah,
his product?
around his product. Absolutely. So now his brand, is linked up with this huge
Okay,
conglomerate
okay. So
Marvel.
so he starts out just doing his own thing, having his own business, and he ends
Yeah.
up on television numerous times and working with Marvel.
Yeah. And working with Marvel. Exactly. And so, again, the secret was not just promoting his business or promoting his skills, but coming up with the story idea.
Yes.
That was really what was key for him. And so, for him to be able to partner with Marvel on a comic book series was
Hmm.
incredible. And that wasn't even anything that he had fathomed. But again, the right visibility, when you get right in front of the right people, this is how your business and your life gets transformed.
Wow. Wow. Well, that's inspirational. That's inspirational. And I think again, it's that thing of having your business set in the right environment. And for this person, having his business on television was a place that a company as big as Marvel is going to see them there. They're not going to see them posting on Facebook or
That's right.
posting
Yeah.
on Instagram or doing dances on TikTok.
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. I mean, and even, one part of what we do also is being able to incorporate your social media into that. So, we don't tell you, oh, abandon all of your
Oh
social
no.
media,
No, absolutely
focus on
not.
television. They work hand in hand as well.
Well, as another one of our speakers at the summit, Dr. Pam Perry, had said when I interviewed her for the podcast, which really struck with me is social media is an amplifier.
Oh,
Make sure
absolutely.
you've got a big deal kind of content to be amplifying. Don't be trying to create content to
That's right.
amplify. Yeah,
Exactly.
you're not going to throw away your social media, but you can't depend on it.
Right.
You want to
Exactly. You can't.
you want to
Yeah.
get
I
yourself
think
on
of
those
it.
stages and screens.
That's right. I think of, when you think of social media as this is your house, this is your home. And that's great, but you can only invite so many people into your house, right?
Yes. Yes, and Facebook is making that even harder.
They're making it harder, and you
Like,
have to consider that, I mean, that's their platform. You don't own it, you don't control it. You have to learn how to use it, and you use that to amplify your message. It's only one tool in your toolbox.
oh, absolutely. Yeah. Yeah. And that is a perfect segue because at the Breakthrough with Media Summit, we are going to be telling you how you can be using tools, get those tools in your toolbox, as Stacia said, like TV exposure, earned free TV exposure, like podcast guesting, magazines, radios, publicity, PR. And our whole goal for this thing is to have businesses like yours, businesses, authors, and coaches, to be getting on those higher elevated stages, screens, and getting seen by the right people. Like
Yes.
maybe Marvel Comics, I don't know.
You never know.
Yeah.
Absolutely. I have a client who's actually in talks with Netflix, and it was a similar journey, this small little company, but they got the right exposure, and they actually ended up partnering with a Netflix executive. So it happens all the time.
Yep. There are going to be big opportunities being discussed at the Breakthrough with Media Summit, which is coming up in just less than 2 weeks.
Yes.
It's happening June 14th to the 16th. And Stacia, you're on day one talking about, wait a minute, what is it? Oh, right. Getting free television exposure for your business. And
Yeah.
I am so glad you're going to be there. It's going to be so amazing to be talking with you then and sharing this with everybody, because this is something that I think is beyond the imagination of most business people. But we're
Yeah,
going
I
to make
think
sure
it
that
is.
yeah,
Yeah.
we're going to break it down. They're going to realize, wait a minute, this might be possible for me.
Absolutely. And that's what we want to do. We want to open your eyes to the possibility. And when you see other people who've done it, who have similar stories than yours, similar journey, a similar journey as yours, you know that it's possible for you as well.
Yeah. Stacia, thanks so much for being with me today and talking about this.
It is always a pleasure to be with you. And I love, being able to give this great information to your audience.
And I'm thrilled that you're going to. Talk to you soon.
Bye.
Bye.